Good morning, everyone. We're finally starting our area unit for 2D shapes. Just a heads up, we're going to be focusing on area for the next week and a half or so, and then we're going to move on to 3D shapes and do surface area of those. And after that, we will do volume of the 3D shapes. But to introduce everything, we're going to start with 2D shapes, which brings us back to the beginning knowledge that we learned in school about shapes and so forth. So this is kind of a review. The formulas that you see today will most likely look familiar. If not, they are not that complicated. It's just finding the area. So what is area? Area is the amount of a space that the shape has and that it covers. So this is a parallelogram. So the area would be everything inside here. Shaded. This is a triangle, so the area would be everything inside of that triangle. This is a trapezoid. Maybe we forgot the names of those, but we will find the area of that. Now, we already did area of a circle, so this one should definitely be fresh in your mind. And then we're going to have a square, which is another parallelogram. This one is a rhombus. So we would be finding the area of that. And then this is a kite. Okay. So these are going to be the ones we focus on here in geometry. Okay. Let's get started. So it's going to go by quick because these are just formulas where you just plug in what you need. So we're going to start with a parallelogram. The area of a parallelogram is area equals base times height. And that's it, base times height. So if you look at our picture, here's an image and then we have an example. So here we have the base, which is 11. So this is the base. And our height is this right here, the 6.5. So this is your height. I like to take off the measurements I don't need. See how 7 is this length? I don't need that length of the shape, so I'm just going to take it away. There, so let's write our formula. Well, it's right here. Area equals base times height, so area equals your base, which is 11, times your height, which is 6.5. We take that to our calculator, and it gives us 71.5 inches squared. And that is the first one. So that is a parallelogram. Let's move on to a triangle. The area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So it's base times height, but we multiply it by 1/2. Okay, so the base and the height have to be perpendicular. So if you look at this picture, just write a little note, perpendicular. Okay, and that way you know who's the base, who's the height. Because if I look at this triangle, how do I know who the base is? Is it 9? Is it 7.2? Is it 4.5? Well, the base is perpendicular to the height. So this is my base. Okay, you got to be careful you didn't use the wrong numbers. So this is B. And then the height of this triangle is perpendicular to the base. So this is the height. The 9 is just extra information, so I'm just going to scratch it off. Okay, so our formula says 1/2 base times height. So area equals 1/2 my base, which is 7.2, times my height, which is 4.5. If you haven't noticed, I've been using a lot of decimals because a lot of times students tend to freak out when you see a decimal, and there's no need for that. You just plug it in just like how it is in the formula, okay? And then use your calculator. 1/2 times 7.2 times 4.5 is going to give you 16.2 meters squared. Okay. Okay, the next shape is going to be, all right, if I can make a rectangle. Okay. The next shape is our trapezoid. So trapezoid, this figure is very different because it has two bases. And the bases have to be parallel. So write that somewhere on your notes. The bases have to be what? Parallel. So if you look at this image, I have the parallel symbols here. Back to when we learned about parallel lines in August when we first started school. And then our height is also perpendicular to the base. So this formula is going to be area equals, don't write too big, 1/2 times the height times the bases added together. So base 1 and base 2 added together is what that formula is, okay? So if we look at the trapezoid that they gave us over here, it's kind of like turned around. So our bases, this is where you have to be careful. 8 and 7 are not your bases because those are not what type of lines? They're not parallel. So these are not my bases. This is my base, 9 and 12. So let's label it. This is base 1 and base 2. And then my height has to be perpendicular. So it has to create that 90-degree angle with my base, which is 7. So 7 is the height. Okay? And 8 is just extra information. So I'm going to scratch it off. Now, let's plug it into our formula. So 1/2, follow it like a recipe right here, times your height. What's your height? 7. Times your bases added together. So 9 plus 12. What is 9 plus 12? Because we got to use order of operations. We got to combine those. 9 plus 12 is 21. So 21 times 7 times 1/2 is going to give us in our calculator a total of 73.5 feet squared. Make sure you always put the squared for your area answers. Proper notation. Okay. Our circles. So we did circles already. So who remembers the formula for circles? Area equals pi r squared. Okay, and we should already know that the radius is from the center of the circle to the edge. Anyway, so this one is not the radius. This 9 centimeter is the diameter. So what do we need to do to find the radius? Who remembers? We got to take half of it because I only want to know this amount. So what's half of 9? Half of 9 is 4.5. So then we just use our formula, pi 4.5 squared. We type that into our calculator. That's a pi symbol. Sorry. And we get 63.6 centimeters squared. That is a circle. Those are my favorite. They're so straightforward. We only have to plug in one thing. Let's finish off our rhombus and our kite. So these two kind of go hand in hand because they actually have the same formula. So let's write the formula for both of these. It's going to be area equals 1/2. If I can write today. Area equals 1/2 diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. So if you want to write on here, D equals diagonal. And it's going to be the same formula for the kite. Let me just copy and paste it. So the kite is going to have the exact same formula. Okay? And same thing. Your D represents the diagonal in the formula, okay? But these two shapes have two diagonals, so label them as diagonal 1 and diagonal 2. The very most important things about these diagonals is that there are some of them that have the same measurement. So we're going to label that. I'm going to use green here, or I'm going to use orange. So for a rhombus, the diagonals are congruent. So both of them. So here's diagonal 1, right? Going across this way. So this length is congruent to this length. Remember, we use the tick marks. And diagonal 2 goes this way. So that means that this little segment is congruent to this segment. Now, for a kite, only one set of diagonals is the same. It's going to be the one that is clearly not equal. See how this one is short and this one is longer? So the ones that are congruent is the ones that you can clearly tell they're congruent. So these two are congruent. But the other two, the diagonal 1, this measurement is obviously smaller than this one. So only this set is diagonal. So let's look at our picture and let's label it. So for a kite, both of them are the same. So this is the same as this, and this length is the same as this length. So knowing that, what can I say about my diagonal 1? What is the length that goes this way? If this is 3 and this is 3, what is that length? 3 plus 3? 6. So that's diagonal 1. And diagonal 2 starts up here. We're going to go all the way down. So I have 9, and this is also 9. So what's 9 plus 9? 18. Okay. Let's do the kite. So remember, the kite, only this segment and this segment are congruent because the top of the kite is always shorter than the bottom. So if this is 7, then this is also 7. So for this diagonal, 7 plus 7 is 14. Can you see that? Sorry. Keep forgetting to zoom in. So both of these are the same, but the 11 is just the whole thing here. So for the kite, those are not the same. It's just one length. So this diagonal is just 11. Okay. So you see how drawing the segment outside of the shape kind of helps me finalize those dimensions, and now I can just go straight forward to my equation. So area equals 1/2 times my first diagonal, which is 6, times the second diagonal, which is 18. And that's going to give me 6 times 18, and then we half it. That is 54. And we're doing meters squared. All right, now the kite, 1/2 times the first diagonal, which is 11, times the other diagonal, which is 14. So 11 times 14 times 1/2 is going to be 77 inches squared. That is the area for that kite. Okay. All right. So this was just a review of the basic shapes that we will be working with in the next few days. So we're starting with level 1. These are all level 1 type questions where you just look at the picture, you look at your formula, you plug it in, you let the calculator do the math, and you get your answer. So let's review. We had area formulas for a parallelogram, a triangle, a trapezoid, a circle, a rhombus, and a kite. There should be a Schoology Check for Understanding question that you are going to submit. Please make sure that you log in and complete that assignment, okay? Have a good day.